What's up, everyone? We have some big things to talk about related to the stock market right now. First off, BBBY or Bed Bath & Beyond stock is starting to turn over a little bit. This is hands down the most popular stock of the week. It has been going absolutely crazy. So in this video, we're definitely going to cover that, but we're also going to talk about where the market is currently at and what to watch out for the rest of the week. Tom, with that being said, we're not wasting any time today. What do we need to know?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing today is probably the BBBY movement. I know a lot of traders have really been looking at this over the past couple days, and I will say the market had a pretty decent reaction to this today, but nonetheless, BBBY kind of gapped up this morning, broke above that high of yesterday, Mike, but after that initial gap up, it never really found any more steam or any more momentum to the upside. It hit around $30 at the high of day there and got rejected off to the downside, and towards the end of day, it looks like in after hours here, we hit lows of 19.53, under $20 a share. So we have to be very careful with this one. I know that this stock has been extremely volatile over the past couple weeks. As we can see, it's just been kind of just going straight up. So it's had a lot of great upwards movement, but today it did turn over. So I will say just be very careful with this one. I know the options chain on this one, Mike, has been going insane. And look at this 80 strike call for January. I just cannot believe the pricing on some of these calls here with BBBY.
Exactly. So Bed Bath & Beyond is at $21 a share right now. To visualize how overpriced these options are is insane. So the 80 strike call for January for 2023 is currently going for $430 each. What this basically means is that people are paying, you could say market makers or call sellers $430 cash today to have the right to buy 100 shares of Bed Bath & Beyond at $80 in the next couple of months when the stock's at 21 right now. So the main point to know is the options on this stock are ridiculously overpriced right now. Now, just be very careful. I would not be longing calls or puts on this one just due to the options pricing alone. The stock has a 300% implied volatility, which is just jaw-dropping. So stay away from the options on this one unless you're considering shorting them. They are extremely, extremely risky. And I know some people got pretty triggered, Tom, when I said I wasn't a big fan of Bed Bath & Beyond yesterday, and I'm going to say the same thing again. Can it go up? Sure, anything's possible. It can keep going up, but is it worth the risk? And to me, it is definitely not, considering the options pricing. And honestly, if you're trying to pump up the stock now when it already went from $4 up to 30, I think you're a little bit late.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Mike. You are probably late to the party at this point. Look at this daily chart here. I almost cannot even believe that Bed Bath & Beyond can even look like this on the daily, Mike. If you would have told me that Bed Bath & Beyond looked like this a month or two ago, I would have probably thought you were crazy. But yeah, we ended up seeing it pop up like that. It's obviously getting a little bit overextended. It's starting to come back down now. As far as levels for tomorrow to look for, Mike, going into a 5-minute chart, honestly, I see a pretty big support down here around $18, which is right around that low towards the end of the day yesterday. And then I have another support here, kind of right around $20, which is where we hit in after hours today. So those are going to be some big levels to look for BBBY tomorrow. But kind of like you said, I would recommend staying away from it and looking at some of these options or some of the options on BBBY. Even some of the intraday movement wasn't really even worth playing. You can see here, BBBY had a pretty good pop from 23 back up to 27 intraday. Now, I know this is that 80 strike call, but nonetheless, look, this call only ended up popping up from $5 up to $5.89 there. So it wasn't really worth playing too much in the end anyways. But yeah, it's a crazy stock, Mike. I know a lot of people like it, so figured we'd cover it first.
You know it. So now on to the market overall. Tom, the stock market has been blasting up for basically nonstop over the past couple weeks. We had the FOMC minutes report today. What happened?
Yeah, so the minutes came out today, and pretty much it just reiterated that the Feds are going to keep raising rates until inflation gets to the levels that they're looking for. And we can see right here, obviously inflation is running well above the Fed's desired 2% level. I know the last CPI report came in right around 8.5%. It did show that inflation was falling down a little bit, but still, it's way above their 2% level still. They said that they'll pretty much be continuing to raise rates at a brisk pace until these rates, or until I should say the inflation rate starts to come back down. So it's a pretty big deal, Mike. Obviously, the market had a pretty big reaction to this today. We can go look at SPY intraday. It started really blasting up there initially, and then towards the end of day started selling back off. So I'm a little bit conflicted here. I don't know which way the market is going to open up for tomorrow. It's definitely going to make for an interesting pre-market, but either way, the Feds really just kept reiterating that they're going to keep raising rates until this inflation level gets closer towards 2%.
Exactly. So let's check out the Fed rate hike tool really quickly. We know the Feds are going to keep raising rates. We just don't know like how much. Over the past two Fed interest rate meetings, each increased rate hike was 75 basis points. As of right now, there's a 61.5% chance of a 50 basis point rate hike, but this is always changing, okay? So the main thing to keep in mind is that, hey, we know Feds are going to keep raising rates, which is a good thing because it will lower inflation. We just don't know how much they're going to keep raising them by. So that's the main thing that everyone is on the lookout for. But looking more at like the stock market day-to-day action, Tom, some of these big tech stocks like Apple are so overextended, they are looking like some pretty decent short opportunities. Apple stock alone over the past couple of weeks, or I would just say over the past 2 months actually, went from 129 all the way up to highs of 176. Apple is almost green year to date, and all of this happened in the span of like 2 months. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. They're within 10 points of posting a new all-time high, Mike. I cannot believe I'm even saying that with Apple right now. And you guys can really see on the chart here how straight up this movement has been. I actually drew a pink trend line here on my chart this morning, Mike, and you can really see how it's been kind of following that line to the upside and just how upwards, I guess, that this move was. But yeah, it's just insane to see how overextended a lot of these tech stocks are becoming. And it seems like every time that we think they're finally going to fall down, Mike, they end up ripping back up. I'll be honest, Apple kind of faked me out this morning, Mike. We had a gap down. It looked like we might see a possible sell-off there this morning, but then we came ripping right back up, and it just kept surprising me like it does day after day. So it was definitely insane with Apple. I know a lot of stocks ended up falling down today, though, Mike. The majority of my watch list was in the red. I know a lot of these growth stocks like DraftKings, for example, a lot of airlines, cruise lines like CCL ended up falling down, like Zoom was down too. Just we saw a lot of bad moves out of the growth stocks, but I will say some sectors did do fairly well today, like some of the retail stocks like Costco. And one sector that really caught my eye today, Mike, was the defense sector. Actually, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, well, I shouldn't say Boeing, but Lockheed Martin and a few other ones actually ended up going up today in a pretty good way. Boeing, unfortunately, got dragged down by their consumer sector, unfortunately.
Gotcha. So that's good to know. But I will tell you, Tom, for tomorrow, I'm really, really watching these big tech stocks, especially Apple, just given the fact that, they've had such a large move in such a short period of time. If you go to a daily chart on Apple, it is very, very rare to see a move this big in such a short amount of time, So it's like, a lot of times in these situations in the past, they have presented some pretty decent short opportunities, or even better, like some call credit spreads if we want to get advanced. But these big tech stocks are definitely on my watch list. And the interesting thing is, like, they are kind of holding the market up right now. Like you mentioned a minute ago, a lot of these other stocks were red today.
Yeah, they really were. Like, unfortunately, growth and a lot of those other sectors were red. So yeah, you're right. It's like these big tech stocks are holding up the market, along with maybe some of those safer stocks like Walmart, McDonald's, and stocks like that. I will say Walmart had a pretty good day again, but then they ended up kind of falling back off in the middle of the day. I know they're still kind of having some post earnings movement here. Like this morning, they had a lot of momentum, but kind of gave it back. I'm curious to see where they'll end up going. But again, they're so overextended on that daily chart. I would have to say I'm going to be leaning off to the downside here. And I know I've been looking at a lot of stocks like AMD, Nvidia, and stocks like that to the downside. And Mike, I know we actually had some pretty good day trades in the Discord today with Nvidia and other stocks like that down. I know your Meta day trade was on fire today too.
There we go. All right, Tom. Well, it's time for the momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have Apple to the downside.
Yeah, Apple. So go ahead and make them fall below $174 tomorrow. If they fall below that in pre-market or after open, then look for puts to the downside. I think that could be a pretty good sell-off there.
All right, with the next one, we have Corsair also to the downside.
CRSR, poor Corsair here. Go ahead and make them break below 1670.
Sounds good. And with the last one, we have Neo also to the downside.
Yeah, Neo. This one makes more sense. Go ahead and make them break below $20 even. That's a nice psychological level there too.
All right, so we are watching Neo, Corsair, and Apple for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow, only if they break below the levels Tom listed. And we also have to give a gigantic shout out to today's member of the day, and that is Cornish. Huge shout out to Cornish in the Stocked Up Discord and on YouTube. You are one of the most supportive members, one of the most active members, and we love having you in the chat. So huge shout out to Cornish. Thank you so much for all of your support. And let's end the week strong. I know you've been doing pretty awesome lately, so keep it up. But Tom, do you have any other last minute thoughts or favorite setups for tomorrow?
Yeah, just like you said earlier, Mike, a lot of stocks are overextended. So I'm gonna keep a good lookout tomorrow for maybe some plays to the downside. Even some of these better stocks in the market, like Starbucks and stocks like that, are even becoming slightly overextended in the shorter term. So like we talked about, just really be careful. Watch for those put plays. I think that we kind of see this with some of these growth stocks starting to happen, like some of the airlines and stuff. They hit some pretty big resistances. Now it looks like we might have maybe like a week or two of like a slight downtrend. So we'll have to see where the market takes us. But like I said, I will be leaning to the downside tomorrow, especially on the SPY. I will say, Mike, the SPY recently hit a huge resistance right around 430. Now that we pulled back below there, I will be watching for more downwards price action. So it's going to be a very interesting next couple weeks, but I will say big support here right at the low of day at like 420, 450. So that'll be a really good level for us to watch there.
All right, there we go. Well, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day, and check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to join the Stocked Up Discord chat. It is completely free, and you get access to free day trades every single morning from Tom and myself. You also get to network with a bunch of other great people and traders. Again, it's going to be that first link in the description and the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's end the week strong.